If the dorks were a pub trivia team, who would be the expert in each topic? I don't know what the topics are in pub trivia, so... yes?
Topics could pretty much be anything.
Oh, the way he worded it made it sound like there were specific topics.
Yeah. I get where Chewy's coming from because, like, I would be random and obscure TV facts, but only from the 80s and beyond. 80s to recent. I have very limited specific skill set. And some legal stuff, but let's not get into that.
Ow. What would your specialty... What would be your specialty people could depend on you for? I mean... I'm pretty good at general knowledge. I have managed to freaking culturally osmose way too much crap. Like I sent Amanda a Doctor Who reference about wearing a fez because fezzes are cool now. And she was like, haha, you don't even watch that show. I'm like, I never will. But I still know that because I know freaking everything. And then also Amanda was like, Lee made me watch Full Metal Alchemist and he didn't tell me. I was like, oh God. She's like, have you seen it? I'm like, no, but I know what you're going to tell me. She's like, with the dog? I'm like, yes, with the dog. Yeah, I know.
Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Someday when Sam is a little older, I think she's probably pretty close, I'll start showing her that episode. And if you can make it through episode 3 or 4 of that show, you're good. Other stuff happens after that, but if you can make it through that episode, you're good. I've seen the whole thing.
The whole thing, I don't remember that part. I must have
That's 'cause you blocked
selectively forgotten that part.
Yeah. It's like, by the way, Grave of the Fireflies is on Netflix now. Let's all go get trauma. That's a different kind of trauma.
Oh
but
boy.
again, I've never watched it, but I know.
Me neither, but I know all about it. Yeah.
See? Look, I'm getting all choked up here. Oh, God. Actually, that was actual choking. All right, then. So, let us begin. Oh, jam. Whew. Hello again, and welcome to the Manapool. This is... I did change the number, right? Yes, this is episode 708 of the Manapool. And we're actually kind of later getting started than I think we would have liked because apparently everybody but us can see the Aurora Borealis around here.
Yeah. My wife can see them.
Yeah, Brian's wife got really cool pictures. Mike and me and Mike and Brian and Dirk all went outside and took our phones and did what we were supposed to do, and I didn't see nothing. None of us saw nothing. So, piss. But I was running around outside, like, trying to get to other side of buildings and whatnot. Just taking pictures of the sky like an idiot, and for naught. Because we're recording this on October 10th, which is when the Aurora Borealis is visible as far south as North Carolina. Huh, how about that? But anyway, so hi, I'm Chewy. I'm the lead dork. And because we're so far behind, I'm just going to introduce these people. Hey, look, I'm going to do it out of order because Dirk just resubbed for the 37th month and said, Skylights! Hi, Dirk.
Skylights!
Is that a horror trope? That might be a horror trope. And then jumping back to the normal order, there's Brian.
Hey.
Who does not have skylights. And then there's Mike.
Hello.
Who may have skylights. None of us have seen his house yet.
That's true, sadly.
Do you have skylights, Mike?
No.
Literally unplayable. Oh, hey, and then Mike resubbed. Hey, look at that. Thanks, buddy.
Love it too. Can I see it? No.
So on this episode, this was a Mike as a combination Mike and Brian idea, I think.
Well,
Yeah,
Mike
because I was
first.
no help.
Yeah, because Dirk was no help. Dirk was like, yeah, let's do these two other things, one of which wasn't a topic that was brought up, and the other one was another completely unrelated thing.
Well,
but he wanted us to do them both
and I like how
at the same time.
the thing you suggested as a fill-in, I was really like, that's gonna be a whole episode. I don't know that he knows that.
Look,
but-
Dirk doesn't read the text before he responds to them, especially
I
now when
have to
Brian
read them. Like,
sends
I'm
in the
pretty sure
fellow.
this is what they're talking. That's what happens when you read lots of papers. You just look at something's like skim, skim, skim. I think this is what they were saying.
So, and now people in the Discord are showing their Northern Lights pictures, and everybody has such awesome stuff to see, and I got literally nothing, and I'm so pissed. So the Discord, Facebook, and Twitter are all just Aurora Borealis that I don't get to see. At least it didn't. Last time the Aurora Borealis was visible this far south, nobody told me until the next day when I got to see everybody's pictures. And I was like, what? But. So now, at least I know, and I still can't see it. So now I'm sad. But okay, so. On this episode of The Mana Pool, we are going to go back to Duskmourn, but only sort of for the cards. As you probably know, if you're listening to a podcast that is sadly primarily about magic, Duskmourn, the new magic set, was built around horror tropes and references. Because Duskmourn is essentially a giant haunted house plane, right?
Right.
Yeah. Well, yes. It started out as a normal haunted house, just on a street on a plane, and then the demon, like, took it over, and it like swallowed the other houses around, and gradually the whole plane. So yes, yeah, it's giant. It's a giant haunted house. Yes.
Thank you,
Now.
Brian. So,
You're welcome.
so, we thought we would just go through the set and point out cards that are either horror movie tropes or references. And it turns out there's a lot. I just scrolled through the set and jotted down every card that my brain recognized as a reference or a trope, and my list was damn near 100.
Mm-hmm.
So luckily the Discord supplied us with a lot that had actual explanations, because I just was like, that looks familiar. Oh yeah, you know. I don't think we're going to spend much time on the cards themselves, you know, unless it's mechanically relevant.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So should we just get how do we, by the way, I've got it set on the Duskmourn House of Horror set and the default treatment. I don't know if that, just to make it easier to scroll through.
Okay.
I mean, I was looking at some of the callback cards that were reprinted with different art and whatnot. For example, I'm looking right now at Soul Warden, which is very much not new to this set, but was reprinted in it because it has new art and it's evocative. But it's up to you if you want to do that or not. So there's a ton of stuff here.
Soul Warden's in this set?
No, it's one of the reprints, but it's
One
got
of the
that
special guest
icon.
cards.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I don't even think about special guest cards because I always forget they exist.
Most of the time I do too, but this popped up when I was looking and I was like, just as an example, I'm not saying Soul Warden in particular has any tie-in, but
No. All right then. So let's put this there. There's the screen. Yay. All right, so where do you guys want to start? What did you guys find? Have you guys found anything? Did anybody but me actually bother to do the homework, which is the opposite of how it usually is?
I did some homework,
Usually, I fake it.
and I got a question for you guys. Is Encounters of the Third Kind, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, a horror film? Because it has horror elements to it. Certainly, what the people who are receiving these messages from the extraterrestrials are going through is very akin to what victims go through in a horror film. Like they're isolated from their peers, they're treated differently. So I didn't know if it could qualify or not. But we have a couple examples here, like the fear of abduction, where some more alien type things, extraterrestrial type things, are depicted. So if we're covering that as a trope, then I definitely have. Oh, shoot, I had it written down. For some reason, I had it as hovering, and now I don't see it. It's the spaceship. Um, and I'm typing in hovering, and why don't I see it? I probably wrote down the wrong name. Gosh darn
Yeah,
it.
Well,
that
hover.
was what?
It's the unidentified hover ship.
Yeah, that's what it
Oh,
is.
there we go. There we go. Thank you. So the unidentified hover ship. Um, ident.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
unidentified hover ship
and
is
yeah,
definitely, the Travis Walton. What was that freaking movie?
Fire in the Sky, was
Fire
that
in the
it?
Sky. Yeah,
yeah. And I like how there's the normal version this of this art, and it certainly depicts a flying saucer in the woods. Because again, remember the haunted house has many wooded sections into it, uh, and it's very creepy. This is not an ET like, everybody's happy and all this sort of thing. This is the scary, like, we're gonna get you sort of alien, with a person getting ready to get beamed up or something. But then there's some alternate art where it's a similar depiction, but from a different angle that I really like as well. So
and
again,
it's
feeding into
glitching out.
that fear. Yeah. So I had unidentified hover ship kind of feeding into that. And again, fear of abduction we already talked about in the last episode. And abduction can mean a lot of different things. It's not necessarily, specific to aliens, although the art was evocative of that. But this is clearly playing straight into that. Like, there's no question here what you're seeing.
Yeah,
So, um, yeah, so I had that one to start off with.
yeah. There, that should be enough. Yeah, the unidentified hover ship is obviously the flying saucer coming to beam you up,
Mhm.
not Scotty. Thing where there are any number of movies like just in the chat, The Fire in the Sky and Nope were both mentioned. By the way, if you
I
haven't
heard good
seen
things
Nope,
about Nope.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you haven't seen Nope, and I don't know if I should tell you to see Nope. I think if you were gonna see Nope, you probably have already. It's a bizarre movie that alternates back and forth between utterly terrifying and goofy.
No, really. A show named Nope is just kind of crazy. That was sarcasm, but
I mean,
kind of, sort of.
it's a Jordan Peele movie, so like
Yeah. He did Get Out, right?
he did Get Out and Us, and apparently the Candyman remake, which I found out earlier today. Which I guess I'll watch that tomorrow.
I
But
knew they
yeah, this
did
is
one
your
of those.
standard
I didn't realize that he
thing.
did that. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't either. By the way, I have been watching a horror movie every day and then posting a quick thing about it on all of the Twitter likes. So Twitter and BlueSky and Threads. So you should go check that out because I've been watching some bangers and one utterly miserable piece of crap. And some bangers. Did you guys ever see Fright Night?
The original or the remake?
I mean, in your case, either one.
No. I'm aware there are two.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, I watched them back to back, and nobody told me that Prince Humperdinck was the vampire, y'all, or I'd have watched it years ago.
I know we're talking about horror films, but I showed Sam the Princess Bride over the summer, and at first she was kind of not into it because, hey, she's a teenager.
It's an old movie.
Old, but she will not stop quoting it. She just won't. So I haven't failed as a father.
I know I liked her for
She
some reason.
loves the inconceivable line.
But all right, so what else we got? How about we'll do one of the easy ones.
Yeah, the
Jump
one
scare.
that came to mind. Oh.
Yeah, you were too slow, Dirk. Jump scare in white is actually this card I think is mechanically relevant. So for a single white, it's an instant. Until end of turn, target creature gets +2/+2, gains flying because jump scare, and becomes a horror enchantment creature in addition to its other types. So it gets bigger. It jumps because that's a thing in Magic, and becomes scary, and goes boo, and the flavor text is boo, and that card makes me happy.
Yeah, this is kind of a layup one, but I definitely wanted to make sure we talked about it.
Because you can't have, some people seem to think you can't have horror movies without jump scares, and those people can go to hell. One of the worst modern horror movies by some of the masters of the craft I've seen lately. I haven't seen it lately, but was Insidious. Everyone was like, "Oh yeah, Insidious, it's James Wan." And I was like, "Sick," and I watched it, and it's jump scare the movie. Everything that happens on screen is accompanied by a jump cut to it or a zoom and a very loud hit on the strings. The horror movie sound.
Yeah.
Every single one, and I was like, can you, Jesus, could you guys ease up? To the point where towards the end of the movie where it should be the most tense, every time I heard the horror movie sound, I was like, boo, and not boo, but boo this man.
Yeah.
You're
not supposed to get predictable
that movie because it was just jump scares, and anything that it might have been working towards by being creepy, the jump scares just held it down and shot it in the face.
I think jump scares can work, but if that is all you're doing, or if it's even most of what you're doing, at a certain point, it's just not scary anymore.
Yeah, which is why I prefer movies that use jump scares sparingly.
Yeah. And
not just the fake outs, but the actual scary thing. Oh, Jesus, that, but handled, I want to say handled tastefully, like it's nudity.
Well, the two are not.
In The Conjuring, there are a few, what I would consider jump scares, and they're done pretty well. In The Conjuring 2, there are more, and they're louder, but they're not annoying like the ones in Insidious. Like the ghost thing in The Conjuring 2 is an old British man. So, all of a sudden it'll go, it's being very quiet, and all of a sudden it'll go, "Get out of my house!" But there's no, jump scare noise to go with it. It's just a loud shout that is diegetically happening. There's no sound effect to go with it.
Yeah.
Or if there is, I didn't notice it because they didn't, lean on it super heavy. And so it made me jump, and then I went, "Ha! That was good," So what I'm saying is, I hate this card. I mean, what?
Yeah.
So you
justifiably
appreciate
so.
it, and yet you hate it.
Yeah. Well, I hate what it represents. Jump scares are cheap. I really want to
Again,
watch.
I do think
What is the
I
name of
think
the
you can
show?
do them effectively, but only if it's like one of a kind,
Oh
and not
God,
the first. Yeah.
there's one in The Haunting at Hill House that I still think about. And for those of you that have seen The Haunting of Hill House, it's the one in the car. Every time that anyone mentions jump scare, that's what pops into my head because it scared I can't say that on the show. It scared the crap out of me, but like in a good way. It was amazing. By the way, if you don't like creepy stuff, do not watch The Haunting of Hill House. Just don't.
You've been warned.
Yeah, that was mainly for you guys, actually, you three, because it
I'm a
is
lightweight, so
terrifying. But the one of Mike Flanagan's other shows, I can't remember the name of it. The one with the kids. He did The Haunting of Hill House and then The Haunting of Bly Manor, which was really good, but in a completely different way. He did Midnight Mass, but he did the one with the kids, and I can't remember. And one of those episodes set like a Guinness record for the number of jump scares in the episode because like he hammered in as many as he could into one episode just because of people who were like, "Oh, this guy just goes jump scares." So he was like, "Oh yeah, watch this." Anyway, let's talk about a different card. What else anybody got? Or should we just Midnight Club? Thank you. That's the one.
I have one. I just did one a little while ago, but I have one, and I want to talk about the trope, and I want to actually talk about the card for just a second because uh we missed Mike for an episode, and it's the most Mikest Mike to ever Mike.
Who?
All right.
Yeah.
So what's the card?
This the card is Doomsday Excruciator.
Oh yeah.
And this ties into the perfect Faustian deal, which goes back to obviously is a literature reference, but there are so many movies as well where it's the deal with the devil. You remember the Brendan Fraser movie Bedazzled,
Yeah.
which was actually a remake of a British film. But this one had Elizabeth Hurley, so it was just better. And this is not the
Accurate.
only this is not the only card to play into this trope. There's actually a card called Demonic Covenant. But I want to talk about Doomsday Excruciator because it's a Mike card, and Mike, you just got to tell us what this does. You have to.
Okay, fine. So it costs 6 black mana. Black, 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 black. That's the mana cost. And for all of that, you get a 6/6 demon with flying. When it enters, if it was cast, that's important. Each player exiles all but the bottom 6 cards of their library face down. And at the beginning of your upkeep, draw a card. So, fast forward everything right to the end, where people are drawing the last few cards in their decks, and they really don't know what went away since everything got exiled
Right.
face down.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
And you're drawing
going,
twice as fast as they are.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
you have a
You got
6/6
a
flyer.
6/6 flyer,
hmm
but you're also drawing twice as fast. So I have loved this card, and I actually am using it in a mono black deck in standard on Arena, where the goal is play this. 9 times out of 10, the opponent panics and kills it, and I'm like,
What have you
Thanks.
done?
But I have an auto win. The deck has a couple auto wins. It has some cheap combos, and I'll freely admit because it's mono black. But I'm also playing the black class card, the Scavenger's Expertise. And at level 2, at level 1, every time a creature dies, triggers only once a turn, you get a food token. Level 2, every time you sacrifice a permanent, target player mills 2 cards. And level 3, at the beginning of your end step, you can sacrifice 3 other non-land permanents. You can't sacrifice the Scavenger's Expertise to, if you do, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter on it. And more than once, I have been like, I'm about to lose, and then I play this, mills away, well, uh, um, exiles all but the top 6 of both people's, and then I go to my end step, and I sack 3 permanents and mill them for 6 cards.
Oh, that's
And the
harsh.
best time was against a blue-white control deck, and their deck was like 300 cards. So there was no way anyone was ever going to mill them. That's how they lost, and it was hilarious. But that's my story. This is also a Super Mike card because it's a demon
That will kill you.
that will kill you. So, Mike, what do you think about this card before we just and then I want to get back to the horror trope. What do you think of the card?
I mean, it's just drawing extra cards, so that's not as compelling as it could be. Like the appeal of Doomsday itself is that you get to pick which cards, um, and that's crazy. Uh, but yeah, so this is like, yes, you mill your opponents down to 6, but other than that, it's just drawing extra cards and you have to wait. So waiting for extra cards is tolerable, but I much prefer getting extra cards now.
So, your argument for this 6 specific black mana card is that it doesn't do enough?
Well, the special effect isn't seductive enough to
Gotcha.
the disadvantage.
You want more. Mike is discerning about his devil's contracts, y'all. Mike is like, you gotta throw a pie in there. It's not just a fiddle of gold. I need a little something. Come on, Satan. What else are you gonna do for me today?
Sweeten the pot.
Yeah. Not today, Satan. Come back when you have
Yeah,
something
as
better.
far as the horror trope, like the horror trope here is this is the big evil bad at the end of the movie who shows up and is like, I'll kill everything.
Hmm.
And then most of the time, no, you don't.
The flavor text is
But
all
yeah,
stars grow dark, all worlds come to an end. So yeah.
as far as horror tropes go, he's kind of boring actually.
Hmm.
What is he? Oh, he's
the
the big
big
demon at the end of the thing that's going to bring about the apocalypse. Oh, is that all? All right.
Maybe we're a bit jaded, but that
That's
trope
fine, I
has
guess.
been used a lot.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello? We're
Oh,
still
I've
here?
lost you all again.
Why do you keep doing
Are you kidding
Well, that's
me?
awkward.
Oh. This is crazy.
Hmm.
So, chat can hear us,
There-
right?
that? I mean, I assume they can.
I figured out what it is. It's my headset cable.
Oh.
Oh, okay. I need you guys to be having a conversation.
We are. You just don't know
Yeah.
it.
Of course, now we're fascinated by whether or not you'll be able to get your stuff to work. Because what if it doesn't?
That's a horror trope right there.
Damn it.
The
Mhm.
technology breaking is a
Sorry,
very
we're troubleshooting on the go
modern.
here as I mess with my cable. I can hear you
And
guys
it's
in
funny,
fits and starts. Oh, wait, there you are.
He asks us to
Nope,
keep
you're gone again.
talking, but
Damn
then he
it.
keeps talking over us. So
Well, it's
starting
not
to
like
feel a little like, hey.
At least everybody else can hear you.
Yeah, like
Or so
the
you
the
think.
flashlight or the cell phone going out at the most inopportune
Okay, let's
time. Yeah.
route the cable this way.
That's true. That is very true. I just
Is
meant
there a
more
red
of a
car?
modern
What is that?
like inconvenience.
All right, headsets are done. Gonna have to buy a new one, I think. Because
Can you
all
hear
of a
us
sudden
now?
you guys just weren't there anymore, and I hadn't touched the cable. And I couldn't get it to come in, so I could hear you. So hopefully the echo will be non-existent. I'll move the microphone further away from the speaker. Yeah. Okay, sorry about that.
Okay, yeah, there is one for that trope. It's
What
it's in
trope?
red. It's called
I haven't been able to hear
um,
you, so I don't know what to put the camera in.
about the technology breaking at the worst possible time.
Oh yeah, it's in. Is that in blue or red?
It's in red. It's called untimely malfunction.
Yeah, that's it.
Ah, that works.
And this is actually pretty like this represents several ways that things could go wrong for someone. So for just one in a red, it's an instant. It's uncommon. This is pretty good. Choose one. You either destroy target artifact or change the target of target spell or ability with a single target, or one or two target creatures can't block this turn.
Yeah.
So that's tons of ways for something to suddenly go wrong.
Murphy's Law in
Wow.
effect.
Change the target spell or ability.
Hmm.
Ooh. I don't remember that being terribly common.
Yeah, changing the targets of abilities doesn't show up as often as just changing the target of a spell.
Yeah, I have that on my list too, because in every movie, it's not even horror movie. In every movie, there's some sort of thing that stops working at the worst possible time.
Hmm.
You know, like at the climax of Back to the Future. You know, he finally gets to the car and he gets it to the starting line, and he goes to go, and the car
And-
dies. It's just a thing that has to happen in movies, but in horror movies, it seems worse.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because then you die. I feel like there was something else like that. Frantic something. Was it in green? Frantic strength. This is what happens after your untimely malfunction. Is well, the flavor text says, with his friends dead and his weapons broken, Taro seized the only thing he could to defend himself, and the art is him holding out a lamp.
Mhm.
And this is what always happens in the horror movie when something breaks or your trap fails or whatever, you have an untimely malfunction, is you find yourself crawling along the wall or the ground, and you pick up whatever's nearby to swing at the monster or killer or slasher or whatever.
Hmm.
Right.
Is it the same? It's not the same character in the art, is it? I didn't actually look. No. Oh well. That would have been funny.
No, yeah, it's a different costume. And a different haircut, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here. So here's one. Unwanted remake. This is huge in horror movies these days. I watched the Poltergeist remake, and I was like, had completely forgotten happened. And you know, when it was over, I was like, oh, that was all right. That was pretty good. You know, I expected that to suck, and it didn't suck. And then the next night I watched the original, and I was like, oh my god, this film is almost perfect. Then watched the original, which is almost perfect, and then the remake in the same night. And he was like, this movie's crap. And I was like, it's not that bad. He's like, it's crap. I'm like, it wasn't bad. It just wasn't, almost perfect. He's like, it's like a 4.5 max. I was like, all right, fine. So, and he's in the chat now going, "Yep, it was crap." So, and yeah, there are some most horror movies, it turns out, don't need a remake, but when done properly, like Fright Night. Remember I said earlier, Prince Humperdinck was the vampire in the original?
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the remake has a hell of a cast too. Anton Yelchin is the main character. You remember him? Died way too
Really?
early, very sad.
Yeah.
Toni Collette is his
Yeah.
mom. Freaking Colin Farrell is the vampire. This is not a spoiler. You find this out immediately. It's not a mystery at all. And then David Tennant is in it. And when he popped up on the screen, I was like, "Is that David freaking Tennant?" And then it was, and I was like, "What?" And he's like a Chris Angel type of, because it takes place in Vegas. He's like a Chris Angel type of stage illusionist guy. And I was like, "What is this movie?" And it was excellent. So that was not an unwanted remake, but I would argue Poltergeist probably was. But it's a big thing. Friday the 13th, then Platinum Dunes eat my ass. Stop that. Stop doing bad remakes of horror movies. Friday the 13th, I've heard that one is not great. Haven't seen that one yet. I'm sure there are others that aren't coming to mind. Oh, Candyman. Although I've heard the Candyman remake is awesome. I haven't watched it yet though, so I'll watch it tomorrow night. Sorry. And what's the card do? Destroy target creature. Its controller manifests dread. Oh, it turns whatever creature into a stupid 2/2. That may or may not be something else.
May or may not be able to be flipped up into something else, or it may just be. Every time I've manifested dread on Arena, every time there's not a creature in the 2.
Oh yeah, I haven't hit a creature yet.
Yeah.
I see the same thing happen to my opponents most of the time too.
It's bad. I'm to the point where I'm like, I'm not even worried about what it is anymore. In original, Onslaught, I'd be like, oh shoot, is that an Ebon Blade Reaper? Or is it, that stupid 1/1 mage that has like a converted mana cost of 8 or something?
Scornful
It's nothing,
Egotist.
it's planes. Scornful Egotist.
I remember that card because I identify with that card. So I like that this card is mechanically relevant to its name and to the meta trope. That's nice. Let's see here. Oh, here's a good one. How about
One that I saw.
Yeah, Dirk saw one.
I'll get mine in real quick.
Yeah, what you got?
Stay hidden, stay silent.
Yep, that's a good one.
Oh yeah.
That one's in blue. And just the fact that there are 2 versions of it
Oh.
is very quintessential.
I did not. That is disconcerting.
Oh geez, I forgot about these versions of the cards with the monster.
Oh yeah, they can be unsettling.
So is it they're 2 separate cards, or?
Yeah, there's 2 different arts. The primary one, you see it has a serial number 0074.
Yeah.
And the one with the monster is 0291. Yeah,
Okay.
They're 2 different arts that will appear from time to time.
But they're the same card.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, the art. For those of you that aren't watching the video version and don't know this card, it shows a person ducked down behind a piece of furniture with a hand over the mouth looking panicked. And then in the creepy art, it's the same art but with a monster coming up over the piece of furniture, and that is awful.
Because that is definitely a trope in movies.
Oh yeah, like basically
Like a lot of
every sort of horror movie or even thriller movie where there's something trying to get you, whether it's zombies or a crazed killer or the Xenomorph and Alien Isolation. That's a game, but same thing.
What was it the Quiet Play, or was it the one?
Yeah, A Quiet Place. Yeah.
Yeah, where the whole premise of the movie is shh, don't make a sound.
How the hell did that movie get like a sequel and a prequel and a something or other? Like, I saw it. It was fine.
I think it was kind of a unique premise. And also keep in mind the first one came out either right before or right after the onset of COVID. So people were looking for
It was a
some sort of
pretty good time before.
like, was it? Okay. I just feel like people were looking
Yeah,
for a release,
2018.
but maybe that's because the world has been burning for like 10 years. So
At least 8. I mean, what? There was another card that was similar to the. Oh, don't make a sound. Thank you, chat. You. We're all on the same page here. Yeah, don't make a sound is another one in blue. That is Jace. What does it say? Jace kept his mouth shut, but he couldn't shake the feeling that the strange creatures could hear the screaming in his mind. So I'm guessing these are. Oh yeah, these are those walker things that don't have eyes or don't notice when they step on people. They're referenced in a couple other cards.
Okay, yeah.
So that's him standing there going, don't see me, don't see me, don't see me.
yeah, there's an interesting point in the story where Jace just kind of shows up and then like is on the verge of helping Kato, and then he just nopes out.
Nope.
Kind of being Jace. His adopted kid was in trouble, so it was the little loot thing or whatever it is, but he was just kind of being good old Jace.
Yeah,
just when you
the
think he's
the little
gonna
Watsy Baby
change.
Yoda.
Yeah. Which apparently, spoiler alert, since the set's been out for a little while now, the story ends with Valgavoth, the big old demon, like capturing Loot, and its whole thing is it wants to spread the house into other worlds. So, and Loot is the living map to all the Omen paths. I think maybe they're setting up Volgavoth to be the next Nicol Bolas / Elish Norn / whatever. Because the boogeyman is not destroyed at the end of this story.
Dun dun dun.
Again, spoiler alert.
So another one.
But the story's been out. Yeah, go ahead.
So another one is Possessed Goat. In white, if you guys are scrolling instead of typing. Possessed Goat is, let's see, you can pay some mana and discard a card to make it bigger, and it becomes a demon in addition to its other colors and types. So yeah, this is, as far as I know, I haven't seen the movie. This is a reference to the witch, or the Vivitch, as chat just put it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, goats have always been had like satanic ties, and poor goats. I think it's the eyes more than the horns or the feet or anything. I think back in the day, people were just like, nope, don't trust the slanty eyes, which wow, that's problematic. But like the cat eyes. But go ahead. Possessed goat.
Oh, that was it, really?
It turns into a demon.
Yeah, it does, because it's
pretty
possessed.
sure his name is Shog.
Shog, goat of doom commands you. Oh, taking it back. That was the original April episode.
Good times. Great oldies.
One that I want to go to is Come Back Wrong in black.
I like
Yeah,
this. Yeah.
that is a good one.
Because let's see, Evil Dead.
Yup.
That's the one I remember very much. But then there's always like, um, God, was it the Mary Shelley's Frankenstein falls into this too, where like he brings people back and like they're kind of wrong, or what's the one with the
He was
monkey's
more
paw?
The one with what?
The
the
whatever
monkey's
movie
paw.
or whatever that has the monkey's paw. Do you know the monk what the monkey's paw is?
I mean, I know the concept
I'm
of the monkey's
familiar.
paw. I don't remember a
Yeah.
movie with a monkey's paw.
It was a book or it was a movie or somewhere like it was like this and something bad happens every time in order for that wish to come, and one of them was their it was like their son died, and when he came back, he was like just the broken down, like decomposing son who came back to life and everything.
Like Pet Cemetery.
That was what I was about to say. Is Pet Cemetery falls into this too? That sort of thing. Or was it The Last Man on Earth? Whenever the dog got bit and infected, and so it comes back, or any like zombie movie kind of comes into this.
I mean, so I get where you're going for. This ties into a broad spectrum of ideas, including the hey, we want to save our kid, so the kid comes back wrong, but also just the general zombie thing. I think where this is really hitting is a lot of zombies in zombie movies are not people you know. What hits hard is when it's a loved one. And so I think came back wrong really ties into that because it's that phrasing. Like you don't know if somebody maybe that person acted like a zombie before they died. That was just Ted in accounting and they just shambled a lot. But when it's, your brother and to see them come back wrong, that has a certain invocation for it.
Yeah. I get the feeling this art is...
You also see this in a movie like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, where it's not necessarily it's not a zombie, but it is someone who's been replaced by a monster.
Yeah.
Like a changeling or something, yeah.
Yeah, I think the art and the vibe on this one specifically, though, is the Evil Dead thing, where someone gets possessed by a deadites. Also, I've noticed this character, Rip Spawn Hunter. And it was messing with my head because I'm like, why does that sound familiar? And it turns out there's an old character in DC Comics called Rip Hunter, Time Master. So that's where my brain went when I saw Rip Spawn Hunter. I'm like, hold up. Oh yeah, he was in Legends of Tomorrow. I forgot that they actually brought him back for something recently. Ish. How about we do a more different horror trope with the wary watchdog in green? Because you always have to have the dog that is watching.
I mean, at first I thought you meant like a possessed dog or a rabid dog. Like everybody knows Cujo.
But no, this is the dog who is on your side, who alerts you to danger. That's why it's a wary watchdog. And even the card mechanics, when it enters or dies, you surveil one. Because, the dog alerts you to danger. Or you find the dog dead, unfortunately, in horror movies. And you're like, oh! And that alerts you to danger. So, yeah. Just a nice little friendly, helpful trope instead of all of this horrible crap.
Yeah. No, that's good. And usually I'm more upset when the dog dies than when some of the numbnuts die. So
Yeah, because you're a terrible
he's
person.
a good boy.
Oh, wait, you said the numbnuts specifically. Yeah, well, screw them.
Yeah. Another horror trope is the malfunctioning equipment, but not in the helpful one, more in the, I don't know, you could maybe make a case for Terminator, but it's sometimes, think of, you ever see Christine where the car gets either possessed or something's wrong with the car?
Mhm.
The everyday objects turned against you. So I look at something like Hedge Shredder in green,
Ah.
where, yeah, maybe it's just because there's a hedge maze in here. Maybe it's just keeping it up, but it's definitely gonna run you over. It's totally a 5-5, and it's gonna take you out. So you know that trope. It's not just the chainsaw massacre guy. It's the animated chainsaw, something like that. I feel like that's a trope. I had that
Yeah,
on my
there
list.
are like big scary vehicles coming at you in all kinds of things.
Mhm.
Head Shredder feels like a reference to The Shining. I don't see it.
There's a hedge maze in The Shining, but
And I guess they are in those big snowmobile things, but I don't remember anybody getting chased by one.
Hmm.
Hey, speaking of The Shining, how about going back to White, the unsettling twins? This one's pretty obvious. It's
come
just
play with us, Danny.
yeah, and that's the flavor text is
Yeah.
come play with us.
They knew what they were doing.
At least in this one, the twins are casting a really messed up, horrible, monstrous shadow.
Creepy.
Yeah, in line with the creepy kids trope, White also has Orphans of the Wheat.
See, I figured Orphans of the Wheat was just a Children of the Corn reference.
Well,
I
yeah,
think it
but also just
is.
creepy kids in general.
Oh yeah.
What was that? There was a movie, and I think it might have been the last one with Christopher Reeve before he had his accident. But there was a movie where there were kids born all of a sudden at the same time to pregnant women in a town, but it turned out they had psychic powers, but they were divorced from humanity, so all the children, everybody else was afraid of them. Is this ringing a bell? Maybe chat knows
Was
this movie.
Isn't
was
that
that not
Children of the No, not Children of the Corn. Oh, Children of the Damned, maybe? That's what Ben just said in chat.
That might be, or is it? Yeah, I think it's Children of the Corn. That's based off a Stephen King short story that they've made into a movie multiple times, and they keep changing it. But that's got Malachi, who that's
Oh
its
yeah, that's
own
the
meme
cult
sort of
thing,
thing.
right?
Yeah, where the kids kill the parents in a very remote
Yeah.
town, and they take over. Uh, Children of the Damned, it's something like 10 children are born and they all have psychic powers and they have a hive mind or something. So that was that that never freaked me out, but I probably saw that when I was a bit young for it. So
Wasn't there a movie called or a book or a short story or something called The White-Haired Children?
maybe. But that's, I think, tying into tropes are a lot of our primal fears, like we talked about last time.
Village of the
Um,
Damned.
Village of the Damned. And I think
There we
sometimes
go.
adults look at kids and can be creeped out, especially when and I think everyone has known at least one of these kids, either as an adult or you were a kid with them, that one kid that just always stared off into space, maybe never socialized. I'm not saying you have to be social, but you know where they exhibited some potentially questionable behavior. And I think that's something that adults kind of struggle with. How do you deal with that? And these movies kind of amplify that because that's what a lot of horror is here's a basic fear like spiders, arachnophobia. Now let's make them 20 feet tall. So
Yeah.
yeah. So what's worse than creepy children? Creepy children that can kill you with their mind.
Yeah, here we
Or
go.
in the case of Children of the Corn, with their knives.
So I've got this book that I've had. Actually, it was Mom's book. I haven't had it since I was a kid. Mom has had it since I was a kid, possibly before. It's called Over the Rainbow: Tales of Fantasy and Imagination, and it's a compilation of short stories and pieces of other, like it's got a chapter from The Hobbit and a chapter from The Phantom Toll Booth and a chapter from Through the Looking Glass and from the final Chronicles of Narnia book, The Last Battle. And it's got a story called The White-Haired Children by Ruth Ainsworth. So, I was not making it up. Is right here. Although I haven't read it in forever, and I just glancing at it, I don't think it's this is not a Children of the Damned thing at all. Or Village of the Damned thing at all. So, never mind. This is what introduced me to Tolkien and C.S. Lewis and what was the other big one I named? Lewis Carroll. There was C.S. Lewis Carroll. Oh, it's got a chapter from Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula Le Guin. The Truth About Piecraft by H.G. Wells. Holy crap, I'd forgotten about that. All right, I got to close this book.
And they never heard from him again.
Anyway. But yeah, Orphans of the Wheat is Children of the Corn. Their only family is each other, and their only toys are those who wander too far into the fields. So it's not exactly, the weird cult, but it is creepy kids out in the fields who will eat your face.
Yeah.
Ugh. Delicious, delicious face. So while we're in white, what about Seized from Slumber? Which I'm pretty sure is, one, Freddy Krueger, but two, any sort of nightmare dreamscape type thing.
Sure.
And the flavor text is, Tyson tried to scream for help, but his lungs simply unraveled. Buh.
I'm trying to get to Seized.
That is very much a multiverse of madness sort of problem.
Your multiverse is mad.
I say anything that what's his face? Who was the director?
Raimi?
Raimi. Raimi is like his stuff is really, really good. But at the same time, his movies are also just like creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really can't recommend the
What's
first
up?
Evil Dead, but Evil Dead 2 is one of the best, and it is creepy and
I've never actually
hilarious.
seen. I've seen the original and I've seen Army of Darkness. I've never seen 2. You think it's superior?
How have you... What?
What?
That's weird.
In college, somebody showed me the original one, and I had already seen Army of Darkness. So I was like, "Oh, is this a prequel?" So,
Oh my god.
which yes and no, but
Like the
yeah,
first
no,
one,
I
Raimi leaned way too hard into like, oh, let's shock the audience. Like a tree actually rapes a girl. Like, come on, man.
I know, I remember.
And luckily So, Evil Dead is a horror movie. Evil Dead 2 is a horror comedy. And Army of Darkness is a comedy with horror elements.
Mm-hmm.
I think my room is haunted. Something over here to the side of me just moved. I'm gonna guess it's just the way I had the headphone cable all piled up and it finally just slipped off of itself, but that was disconcerting. I don't like that.
Maybe we could be like that Bigfoot movie you were talking about earlier and sit here and talk about that noise for 20 minutes.
That scene in the tent
We
seriously went
we
at
need to
least 20 minutes. It was so miserable. All right, what else? Chat, what else you got? Or dorks or somebody?
Oops. in black, sporogenic infection.
Is that what is that?
The Last of Us.
Oh God, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, and other things, in more
But
recent
The Last of Us
decades
was zombies.
where the horror is some kind of disease.
The Last of Us are technically not zombies. They're taken over by a fungus.
Mm-hmm.
I've never
But
seen it.
things in
so-
that vein, though.
or played the game, so. But I've heard very good things about it. At least the first one. I heard the second one wasn't as good.
Well, it's also a TV show with Mando in it.
With Mando.
Oh,
The actor.
I'd love.
does
Okay,
Mando.
does
Not the Mandalorian himself.
does Baby Yoda get infected and become a fungus zombie?
That would be a spoiler, so I'm not going to tell you.
Of course, that's how you
Now
get
I'm
regular
just
Yoda.
now I'm just picturing Jabba the Hutt, but covered in mushrooms.
Would you even notice?
Which, yeah, I was about to say, that's essentially what he might as well be.
But yeah, Pedro Pascal is huge in the major franchise that nerds love, as a dad character taking a younger character somewhere, like escorting a younger character. That's his lot in life, it seems.
There's such a thing as typecasting, although that's oddly specific.
But that's not a
But hey.
terrible typecasting.
Yeah, because that's actually pretty wide.
Mm-hmm. That opens you up for a lot.
But yeah, I don't think that the Last of Us 2 was not as good. I think that lots of the reactionary hate mongers just hated on it so much that you, who don't live on the internet, heard about it. Because from everyone that I know personally that played it, they were like, 2's really good. Because, reactionary hate mongers just ruin everything.
Should we keep going? I've got another
Always.
one here.
Go for it.
And this actually pops up in a couple places. There's an artifact. I forget the name of it. I really don't want to navigate from what I'm on right now because this is the best example of it that I know. But
name of the card.
And I know
Brian.
that some cursed recording in red.
Ah, yeah.
And it's the trope of the thing living in the screen. I also know that some people feel, and I mentioned this about after I went to the pre-release and the reactions of some people. Some people feel like this set is a little too modern for them. Not, the play format, but just the setting. But clearly, the evil living in technology, we've already talked about that a bit when I mentioned like the hedge trimmer and technology is one of our bigger fears. I had a social studies teacher in high school who actually tracked what our nation was afraid of through Star Trek, because he said while we were in the Cold War, the enemy was the Klingons because they represented the Russians, and then it became the Romulans, and now in the 90s when we were having this discussion, we're kind of afraid of our own technology turning against us, so it was
the Borg.
Yeah. But but the movie that comes to mind for me, and I'd be surprised if it didn't for a lot of people, is The Ring. It's the thing that comes out.
Well, I mean,
and
this card is specifically The Ring because it needs 7 or more time counters on it.
And then it actually, it's not a good thing. Like, do you want to read the card real quick, or
sure?
Not go to that. Okay.
Since this one is mechanically relevant.
Yeah.
For 2 red, it's an artifact. And it says, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, put a time counter on cursed recording. If there are 7 or more... 7 days. If there are 7 or more time counters on it, remove those counters, and it deals 20 damage to you. and then you can tap it, and when you next cast an instant or sorcery spell this turn, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. Why are they time counters? They don't come off or anything. I guess because of the ring reference.
I think it's
Maybe
showing the
it's-
passage of time. I think they picked that for the whole 7 days thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that feels like a deliberate reference.
Yeah, you could have made it charge counters, you could have made it curse counters, but they wanted to make it it's time kind of running out on you. Because remember, this is not play this and then play a bunch and it's 20 damage to your opponent. It's 20 damage to you. And then in the meantime, it gives you this crazy free fork that's repeatable. It's just that if you use it too much, you die. There's not a gift mechanic in standard right now, is it? Well, there's the actual gift mechanic, but I mean like the
Like donate.
where donate. Thank you. There's not like a donate in standard right now. Oh, get it up to, a bunch of counters and then give it to your opponent. That would be hilarious. Unless, the donate was the 7th one.
Whoops.
But then I like the art on the alternate art next to it. I don't know if you can see it,
Yeah.
depending on how you're displaying it, but where the phantom is actually coming through the screen.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there was another one. You're right, it was in artifacts. I've got it on my list. What was
Yeah.
it? Nope. Oh no, that's not artifacts. There we go. Found footage, probably.
No,
No.
I think that's just a call out to the whole genre.
Oh, haunted screen.
I think
that's the one.
Haunted screen. That's it exactly.
Yeah, this one is more like Poltergeist, where
They're
it's something that lives in the TV that reaches out at you, as opposed to the other one, which just comes out and murders you.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't remember. I know we talked about this on the first Duskmourn episode, but I don't know if we mentioned it. You can tap to add black or white, and you can tap and pay 1 life to add colors, because black and white is cheaper than color television. Huh?
Wow. I did not. Oh man, I just thought it was playing into a particular theme.
Oh, and
Oh.
Chifuji pointed that out. Oh, and then the Infiltrator pointed out the colors are RGB.
Oh boy.
Oh, I hadn't noticed that at all. That's hilarious. Oh God, could someone explain that, please? Because to the younger people listening, what's RGB? Why is that funny?
There are red, green, and blue channels for the lights that are used to make the images that show up on your color television screen.
Hopefully everybody
But
heard that.
Mike, I thought my color was a color TV. I don't need extra stuff.
No. No colors for you. You get black and white because you don't have life to pay. Also, you can turn this thing into a 7/7 to hit people with, so that's pretty funny. Let's see. So that's haunted screen. Yeah, the other one is found footage, which is another, horror movie subgenre that I mean, everyone has probably seen at least one found footage movie at this point, because Blair Witch wasn't the first one, but it was the first big one.
It was and again, I think a lot of people were like, "Oh wait, we can do this for the cheap," and people will flock to it.
Yeah. But the whole premise is this is footage that was found later. So you find this footage and then you watch it, and then so everybody always dies at the end of found footage movies for some reason. By and large. So it's all, oh, what's gonna happen? Oh, maybe they'll get away. No, they didn't get away. Uh, okay, let's see here. Ben wants us to hit the Saw cards, and there's a bunch. So let's start with, let's play a game in black. So let's play a game is how is how Saw is how Jigsaw always starts his interactions with his victims. Sort of like in Scream, that do you like scary movies? And Saw, it's let's play a game. And they're always, it's always like, you know, cut off your own hand or die. Like, oh, thanks for that, I guess.
I'm gonna let you guys kind of take some of these just because I'm aware of them, but I've never seen a Saw movie.
I've only seen the first one and then the first half of the second one, because the first one is really good. Like, it's an actual good psychological horror thriller. And then from there they just turned into murder porn. Like, they took the idea of the traps and made that the whole point. And I have not been able to sit through an entire one since. I stand by the first one being really good, though. So what does this do? It's got so it's a sorcery for 4 mana, Delirium. Choose one. If there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, choose 1 or more instead. Oh. And the options are: creatures your opponents control get -1/-1 until end of turn. Nice. Each opponent discards 2 cards. Nice. Each opponent loses 3 life, and you gain 3 life. Nice. So they're all bad options for your opponent, which is the point.
Yeah.
So then there's, how about Grab the Prize in red, which is, well, it's a key sitting in the horrible, spiky, toothy clown mouth. And then the flavor text says, unfortunately, the keyhole turned out to be located in an even larger, scarier clown mouth. Plus, he's got...
I was going to mention,
What?
That I was, the card you're reading, like it was one.
Yeah, and it's got the swirls on the cheek, like Jigsaw's little clown thing. I don't know what it is. So that's a Saw reference. Then there's Trial of Agony, which is an actual Saw trap. It's got 2 people chained together by the wrists on 2 different platforms, and in between them is a big ass saw blade that's coming up. And I don't know what the rest of the trap is, but that's kind of awful. The flavor text says, all it took to shatter their lifelong bond was a scrap of hope. There's a lot of references in this set to hope being a bad thing. I noticed, and that's a little disconcerting. And then the last one that Ben mentioned, and I think it's the last one I have, is just a card called Saw, which, not entirely sure if that counts as a Saw reference.
I mean, just because Saws also show up just generally in horror films. Like, it's a big spinny blade. It looks wicked, so it cuts things.
Yeah. But this is more of a... Because, you know, all the slashers have to have their own weapon thing that they use to kill people. You know, Freddy had his glove with the knives on it, and Jason has his machete, even though that's not a thing really until later movies. And Michael Myers has his big knife. The
I'm
guy from
enjoying
I
the
Know What You
chat
Did Last Summer
mentioning
had his fish hook thing. What was that, Dirk?
As I'm enjoying that chat very much remembers the nightmare that I had when I was younger about the saw blade that was like persistently following me around.
Yeah.
And then no matter where I could go, I mean, the darn thing was always there. Just look back and be like, God, and just, yeah. That was it. That was one of the most frightening, nightmares I think I've ever had. And of course, they made a dumb card out of it.
Naturally. And then while I've got Saw pulled up, in red there's Chainsaw, which is because of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, even though it's really kind of terrible as a weapon used to kill people. It's become a horror trope. You see it more in things that are referencing a horror than you do in actual horror. I've noted. Like, have you guys seen the Airheads commercial?
I don't think so.
Where I don't know if it's still on, but I see it on YouTube a lot, which because it actually references it. Like, there's a dude with a chainsaw chasing a woman, and she's like, ah, and then she stops and looks around and goes, hey, wait, I think we're in an Airhead commercial. You want to skip it? And she reaches out and pushes on the screen where the skip button would be. And if you don't skip it, then you see them actually skipping like through a field later. Which is, a little weird, but... And I think there was a chainsaw-wielding maniac in another commercial where the teenagers were really stupid and were like, oh no, they were hiding behind a bunch of hanging chainsaws. Mm-hmm. And the killer was standing behind them, and he cocks his head to the side like, idiots. But I don't remember what that... Yeah, that was a Geico commercial. Yeah, thank you, chat. But yeah, okay, also Evil Dead. Yeah, okay. Or Evil Dead 2 specifically. That's a good point. I don't know why, but for some reason the chainsaw in Evil Dead 2 just does not stick in my head as a thing like chainsaw equals, horror movie killer. Oh well. What else we got?
One that I'll point out is, I don't know if we've mentioned this one yet, Popular Egotist in black.
No, we haven't covered this.
So it's I like the flavor text for it. I know you'd want me to live, bestie. The whole thing of, I don't have to be the fastest. I just have to run faster than you.
Oh yeah. The old this always makes me think of the old Sinbad stand-up special where he's like, if you my woman and Dracula is chasing us, you a dead woman. He's like, cause I'm gonna trip you and go, yo, Jack, and then keep on trucking.
There was an anime a couple of years ago, High School of the Dead, and it was about zombies. And it was also about, for those in the know, I think like boob physics, because that was a lot of that's what the animators spent most of their budget on, where basically a high school in Japan is one of the only safe havens for a while for zombies, and then the kids escape. But there's a scene at the beginning where there's two girls that are like very much best friends, like they'll be friends forever, and all of a sudden the zombies are there, and one literally pushes the other one down the stairs to get away. She's like, how could you do that? And she's like, sorry. She turns around and there's a zombie right there, and she actually gets eaten too. But that's what I think of when I see this, is just the very callous, like 2 seconds ago they really were best friends, but in that moment it doesn't matter.
Yeah, this one, there are a crap load of cards in this set that are just like horror movie character archetypes. Like the popular egotist is the person who, you know, trips this other person so that they can live. But there are just so many. Like hardened escort in white is the person who knows what they're doing. Like, it's not magic. I read the writing on the house's walls. I listen to its signs. I smell the changes in its air. It tells me where danger lies. Like, it's a person who knows what they're doing. They've been through it. That's always a thing in horror movies. There's even the Wanderer, her card in this, the Wandering Rescuer. Like, I assume from the name, I didn't realize this was the Wanderer until later, but like the Wandering Rescuer is the person who shows up and saves you from the monster at the last minute. I don't know if that's what the Wanderer is doing here in the story, but you know, from the name. There's the veteran survivor that we talked about in the with the mechanics, who is another person who's seen it all and can't be stopped. Although different than the hardened escort. That's a person who knows their way around. This is the person who has survived everything. There are a lot of them in blue for some reason, which I thought was weird. There's the paranormal analyst, the entity tracker. They're the, you know, especially in haunting movies, they're the people who you bring in who set up all the cameras and equipment. The stalked researcher. It's like the whole team is here in blue. Yeah, there's the paranormal analyst with their PKE meter. If I've done this right, it should immobilize all the spirits in the area. If I've done this wrong, you know what? Let's just hope I did it right. The stalked researcher is the person who's like, it's just a shadow. It's only a shadow. Please let it be a shadow, as they're taking readings, you know. But there's just a bunch of these character archetypes spread throughout the set. In black, there's the cynical loner, who, I mean, the name sort of says it all.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, but no thanks. I'm done with hope.
Well, and if you read the text itself, it can't be blocked by glimmers, right? And glimmers specifically in this set are the physical embodiment of the survivor's hopes. And in the story, the Wanderer's glimmer appears and helps guide them through the house. So this person is just saying, like, I gave up on hope a long time ago. Very cliched sort of thing.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So yeah, there's just a whole mess of them. And look, there's Blade.
Mm-hmm.
Not even legendary, not even rare. Poor Blade.
Where is he?
In black, right next to the cynical owner. Dashing bloodsucker.
Bloodsucker.
And the flavor text is, there are worse things here than vampires. Which is, you know, a thing Blade says in, I don't remember, I think it's the first one.
I think so, yeah.
And she
I
goes,
think he says, like me, or something.
And she goes, what? And he goes, me.
Yeah. Yeah. I should know this one because I've drafted like 20 copies of this card because it's really good.
Wait, what'd you say, Dirk?
I said I thought it was the IRS.
I mean, they are vampires. See,
No, they're the reason why Wesley Snipes had to do a couple movies. He was like, "Oh yeah, that's right. You do have to pay that, don't you?"
Oopsie poopsie. Oh, there was something else here in black. I guess I could just look at my list, stupid.
Well, I mean, we have, for all this time we've spent talking about cards, we haven't actually brought up the Unstoppable Slasher.
Mm.
That's in black.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me.
So this is the
Where did I
relentless, monstrous murderer that just won't die. The Jason Voorhees and Michael Myers and countless others.
Yeah. Jason Voorhees, after 6 specifically, I think is when... 6? I think it was 6 when he became a zombie. Friday the 13th is very weird.
This is also yet another, mechanically, yet another combo piece in black now with the demon that during your turn, if an opponent loses life, they lose that much again. Rounded up. Combo. Chat knows what I'm at, I'm sure. Like, black is very combo-licious right now.
You can definitely do a lot of fun stuff. Right. Or in Markov riding a motorcycle, riding a bicycle.
Now I can't not see it. Now
Yeah,
I can't not see it. Oh my god.
Yeah, the head. I was like, there's just something about it that I'm like, I feel like there's something there. But yeah, pointing at Soren Markov and everything, I'm like, yeah, I definitely see that.
That's terrible. So there are a few other like big ones that I wanted to hit before we stop. The Killer's Mask in black is like, it seems more of a Splatterhouse thing to me than Friday the 13th, but you know, just because the mask is actually the thing that does the thing rather than in Friday the 13th where it's just what Jason happens to wear. But then again, this one doesn't do anything. When the Killer's Mask enters Manifest Dread, then attached Killer's Mask to that creature, equipped creature has menace. So it really just makes him scary looking. Huh. Could it be a reference to Roy, what's his name? The fake Jason from, I guess that was 4? I think that was Friday the 13th part 4. Either way. Alright. Chat wants us to do Say Its Name. Oh, yeah. Say Its Name is in green, for those of you that are scrolling. And yeah, I think this is a reference to the, well, this and the thing that it fetches is a reference to all of the things where you have to say their name multiple times. You know, Bloody Mary, Candyman, Beetlejuice, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird for Mike. It's, oh God, what was it? It's 312, I think. Pretty sure that's right. I've never managed to summon Mike to my bathroom.
Yeah.
Except for that time when Mike was in the living room and I was like, dude, come here. But that doesn't count.
But did you have to call his name 3 times? Come on, Mike.
No, it's 312.
Come on.
But yeah, Say Its Name is, what does it do? Mill 3 cards. Return a creature or land from your graveyard to your hand. Okay. Exile this card and 2 other cards named Say Its Name from your graveyard to go get Altanak the Thrice Called. and put it onto the battlefield. Oh,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. So, hey, Altenac. There we go. So, Altenac the Thrice Called. Good lord. For 5 green is a 9/9 with trample. It's uncommon? What?
Yeah. So it's actually possible to like do this in limited formats.
So it's a 9/9 with trample for 7. When it becomes the target or of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you draw a card. And you can pay 1 and a green and discard it to get a land card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. All that's on an uncommon. What the hell, Wizards?
The early game, mid game. It's definitely a very versatile card.
But at least it's legendary. Yeah, that's a good point. And I guess if you go through all the trouble of saying its name 3 times, they want it to be worth getting. But dear God, that's on an uncommon. How do you... Like, I know it's theoretically possible to, thrice call it in limited, but...
Mm-hmm.
How often do you find 3 copies of the same card in draft?
Not a lot.
for
One of the
a
guys at the
common-
pre-release got 2, and he said, "I wanted to get a third one." I'm like, "Okay, yes, Mike."
Yeah, for a common, I mean, you're sitting there at the table opening up 24 packs, so and they're probably going to wheel unless someone is trying to do this. So the person who wants them is
That
likely
is
to be-
true. Say its name itself isn't all that great
Mhm.
by itself. Although, I don't know. It is 2 mana to get 3 things in the graveyard.
Yeah, which matters for delirium and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's not completely one note.
It'd be a hell of a story, though.
Yes.
Especially if you manage to somehow pull it off. I predict a lot of people will lose horribly trying desperately to pull it off. Oof. Let's see here. Oh, we didn't even do the ghost vacuum. It's the Ghostbusters trap. Okay, we've done ghost vacuum.
Yeah, there's nothing really. Yeah, I don't know if that's really a trope. Like, does something like that appear in anything other than Ghostbusters? I mean, probably, but I don't know about any of those other things.
Oh, Luigi's Mansion. It's actually the Poltergust 3000. Because it's literally sucking up ghosts. What does this card do? It exiles cards from a graveyard with a tap, or pay 6, tap and sack it. Put each creature card exiled with it onto the battlefield under your control with a flying counter on it. Each of them is a 1/1 spirit in addition to its other types. Oh, I was like, holy crap, that's... Oh, it just... Alright, so it sucks stuff up, and then later it does End of Ghostbusters, and they all pop out.
Yes.
Yeah, alright. That's fine. Sure, why not? There were a couple of things in gold. We haven't even looked at gold yet. That's crazy. Jump to the bottom. There we go. There's a lot of these that are lit. Stuff is still loading here. I don't know what's going on. There we go. There are a lot of these in gold that are legendaries, but the big one that I really liked, weirdly, was just baseball bat. Because it's Magic the Gathering, and the card name is baseball bat.
Yeah.
That means it's not just a club. That means it's the sport of baseball and the bat that you use in it. And specifically, it's a baseball bat that's got nails in it. And it's laying on like the floor of, I don't know, like a wooden, like a cheap house or cabin. So like my brain jumped to Stranger Things specifically.
Yeah, I think, and there's a lot of Stranger Things little references here, so yeah, I'm not surprised. There was also I loved, there was a Penny Arcade a couple years ago where a dude in a game finds a baseball bat and some nails. He's like, wonder if I could do something like that with this. Nah, it's probably too complicated. And he finds a blueprint that says hammer plus nails equals nail, uh, bat plus nails equals nail bat. He's like, wait, that could work. Kind of drawing on the whole thought of like, you have to, the game's mechanic of you have to put these together. And I just laughed. And when I saw this, I'm like, yeah, somebody got the blueprint. But yeah, I'm also with Chewy of like, yeah, because Magic the Gathering, baseball. At least they didn't try to give it some other name, like
Oh yeah, that would have just been weird.
Fibblethip ball.
Oh yeah, it's our Fibblethip bat. It's what we use to knock his little ass around.
Yeah. Where am I now?
And yeah, chat pointed out that Arabella, abandoned doll, here is just Annabelle. There are several haunted toys.
Yeah,
Oh,
counting-
there's
a lot of them.
like, oh
Lots of
yeah,
creepy toys.
there's even a toy subtype. So yeah,
Yeah, not counting the one that's covered in spiders, but
yeah. Yeah.
what is it? Somebody just pointed out that Jolly Balloon Man.
Oh, he's great.
think
I
just
love this
scrolled past
guy.
him.
It's both a toy and I feel like it's an It reference.
Is he not in gold?
We all float down here. He is. He should be in gold.
Yeah,
He's red
Jolly
and white.
Red and white.
Is it the? It's the Jolly Balloon Man. All right,
Oh, it's
thanks.
the Jolly Balloon.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just searched for Jolly.
But yeah, they said
Yeah.
this is a reference possibly to Pennywise and It. We all float down here, and also
Yeah.
to that one Junji Ito story, The Hanging Balloons, which is
The fact
and
that he's
Ben
got
and
his
then
mouth.
later Chifuji both brought this up. I think Chifuji didn't see Ben's message, so it was really funny.
The
They
fact
had
that he's got
balloons
this
that hang
his
people.
mouth on this guy is like crazy. Like
I-
just blowing him up.
That's gross.
Ugh. Yeah.
I haven't read any Junji Ito because I like my brain, clean. Oh, the Undead Sprinter
Yes,
is Ben and Ed. I think I said that on a previous episode.
you did.
But also, any sort of fast zombie,
Yeah.
which is its own separate category. There's zombie, and then there's fast zombie, or rage zombie, or running zombie. There's lots of different terms for it, but they're all the same thing. There are a couple. Where is it? Intruding Soul Rager. Where that's in the eyes, because I know English. Yeah, there are a couple of these things called Soul Ragers that appear to be ghosts that haunt the house. Like, hang on, Soul Rag. Loading. Okay, the red one won't load, but the one in blue red is the Intruding Soul Rager, and the flavor text says the souls of those who perished outside the house persist as fractured echoes, driven to share their misery with the living. Why won't this freaking load? You guys can hear me, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. My internet is trying to crap itself. Here we go. Soul Rag. Here we go. And then the red one is the Rampaging Soul Rager. It says the souls of those who perished before Valgavoth's ascension exist now only as fractured echoes of who they once were. Oh, they're both fractured echoes. That's trippy. But they're the things that show up as, visions or ghosts at the other end of the hall or something and do a scare and then disappear again is the vibe I was getting from these.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
The things where there's the scary thing at the end of the hall, and while you're looking at it, it goes and like runs towards you all jerky.
Yeah. Hollow Man? No, Slender Man, right? Does he fit into that?
No, he's more of a
No?
large, creepy thing that kidnaps children and makes your screen go all staticky. He's not a ghost. He's a monster. Ow, is what I was going for there. Did we mention Disturbing Mirth in gold? Oh yeah, that is definitely a Cenobite. Is that one on my list? That one is on my list. Disturbing Mirth, not only is the art clearly referencing the Cenobites, but the concept of disturbing mirth is when any sort of villain or possessed person or anything like that just starts creepy laughing, which is a thing you see in lots of movies and video games, where all of a sudden somebody just goes and you're like, what? Why are you? Stop that. I'm thinking of the one with Sam Neill that wasn't in The Mouth of Madness in space. What is that freaking movie called?
Event Horizon?
There we go, yeah. For some reason, just laughing pops into my head when I look at this card.
That movie was only slightly messed up.
Yeah. Only slightly.
I saw that when I was probably... I don't know if I was too young, but I've just never been one for horror, and that one was... It wouldn't... Yeah.
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 Ouch. But yeah, there's a lot here. Like I said, my list is damn near 100, but
I think we've covered quite a bit.
yeah, we've had a lot of it. And I stopped marking them off my list, so I'm like, oh god, we didn't look at... Oh no, we looked at all of these. What? Unstoppable Slash. Oh, murder. We gotta do murder, because this is the cold open to every horror movie. Mm-hmm. You've got the hapless victim, and you've got them looking at or past the camera with horror on their face, and you've got the shadow of a weapon raising up, and then either they scream and it cuts to something else, or it comes down and you see them die, and then it cuts to something else. Does this person have a... Oh, it's goggles. It's one of the researchers, I'm guessing. Is that what's on their head? What is going on their head?
Yeah, it's goggles perched up on their head, that's all.
Well, clearly, they do nothing. Hi-oh. I'm sorry. Oh, look, and then there's Marvin Murderous Mimic, who is just any number of, killer puppets or toys or what, a puppet master or child's play or... My throat is killing me. And you guys all seem to have fallen off. So should we stop?
I think
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
I am yes, I think so. This has been honestly really interesting, and I'm glad we were able to do it. And maybe next week we'll continue with a spooky theme, or maybe next week we'll do something completely different. You know how you'll find out? By tuning in.
Which is a sentence that hasn't meant anything for most of our lives, too. And yet we still say it.
It's true. It's true. Uh, I need to go. I've so I'm gonna jump on a final thought. Um, we've had kind of an expensive month. It's good to be a homeowner, and I'm very fortunate that way. I know not everyone is in that situation, but in the last couple weeks, we have had our garage door fail, which is expensive, and then the fridge also broke. With the key, we figured out, okay, the ice maker stopped making ice. Well, it turns out that behind the um behind the fridge, uh some of the ice has come through and it's been rusted away. So yeah, that's got to go. And we were also looking at electricians to try to put in some extra outlets around the house, and like, well, we still need to do that. And the wood around our front door has been needing to be replaced for quite a while now. So we've been pricing that. And doors are expensive, especially with the window over the door is literally doubling the price. So kind of an expensive month for us, but we're gonna be just fine. We're gonna be okay. It's just been a lot of getting quotes, interviewing people to do some of these jobs, and poor Apollo having to be very medicated through a lot of it because he doesn't do people. So it's been a lot. But I think we've made a lot of decisions. We're gonna be good to go, and hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll have basically a third of a new house with all this stuff we're buying. Jeez. But otherwise, we're doing okay. So, always wonderful to talk to you, dorks, and I look forward to doing so soon again. Again soon. Wow, I need to go. Take care, guys.
Not
Bye.
sorry. I mean,
Um,
Brian. What is his name?
Mark.
Mark. Hi, Mark.
um, trying to think of what's kind of going on my end. Just school. Oh, and I keep doing things that I shouldn't be doing. And when I say that, I don't mean like bad things. I mean adding
Crack
more stuff to
cocaine.
like I keep adding more stuff to my workload. Um, the thing is, it's like I need like 2 more hours of the school day just be like, let me catch up on like grading and work and training videos and all this stuff. And unfortunately, there aren't 2 additional hours to the day for me to do that. And then like an extra hour of the day for me to like decompress.
Hmm.
Like I was telling somebody at church that what I really need is an extra hour when I get home where I can just go and walk and like put on my book, put on an audio book, and then just walk. So that way I get a chance to like have my me time, decompress, get some exercise, things
Yeah.
like that. And unfortunately, there are not that time in the day. And so there are just definitely times where like I don't know where the magic time's going to come from, but it'd be nice if that some magically appeared somewhere.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah. And like not even just be like I just want more time so I can play video games or just something like that. I just want a little bit of time so that way I can kind of feel caught up on life. So, but with that, I'm going to go to bed. It is past my bedtime. So
All
I
right.
wish everyone a good night. Be safe, and I will see everybody later.
Night, B.
Denied.
I mean, Jim, whoever the hell you people are, what are you doing in my computer? Well, how about you there, Beardy Man? You're the only one left.
Yeah. Lately I've been going back into the office more often. A couple weeks ago, it's like it was the same week we got back from our trip. My work officially started doing its big like return to office thing. And like it's interesting. It's a mix of people who have permanent places back in the office and people who are on a hybrid schedule. And even though I'm here in town, I was put on a hybrid schedule, so I'm like, okay, that's fine with me. So like I just got to go in 3 days a week, but because of how they're working that out, it means I also don't have a permanent space, and I actually need to like schedule a desk for when
Oh
I
my
choose
God.
to go in. I guess to make sure there's enough spaces, but it's not like people are banging down the door to get back in there every day. But yes, still getting used to that. Still getting used to the total crapshoot on any given day of who else is going to be back there and how many people there will be. Because I remember, yeah, that first week, because there were also other people from out of town for some other stuff that was going on, it was pretty full. And then the next week, it was still pretty full on the days I went, but then I went Friday and it was like a total ghost town. So I'm like, okay, I get it. People want to stay at home on Fridays. That makes sense. Maybe I should have too. So yeah. Still figuring out whether I'm going to have some kind of routine for when I go in, or if it's just like when I feel like it, or when it's more convenient for us here at home. So still some work to do there.
So wait, you've been working from home all this time since the world ended?
Yeah. At the very beginning, like a few months into 2020, they were like, okay, let's start bringing people back into the office in shifts. And they're like, never mind, this isn't working. And besides, my boss at the time didn't really care. And then eventually I got a new boss who was based in Chicago, and she really didn't care whether or not I came in. The same with my next boss. So it's like, yeah, I'm just gonna hang out at home. But as with so many other businesses, who have these office buildings that they're paying for and not getting any use out of, wanting to try to get people, building more like collaborative in-person work relationships and whatever. There's been a big push in lots of different business sectors to get people back in the office, and I guess mine is no different.
Got to
But the problem
justify
is,
those physical office costs.
yeah, I know. And the thought of letting people have more face-to-face time, it's a nice thought. But the problem is that in the intervening years, there's just been so many remote people who've been hired. So of all the people on my like I would say my group that do kind of the same thing that I do, there's like 2 who are in the area. The rest are in like Illinois and Arkansas and Florida and Pennsylvania and, all kinds of other places, because that's just how the company has hired over the past few years. So, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it's mostly just we have this office. It feels bad to let it go to waste. Let's have people come back in.
Yeah, whether it makes sense anymore or not. Like I said, got to justify those physical building costs. We got rents we're paying for no reason. We got to get people in here. What if it doesn't make sense anymore? Get them in here. All right.
We are down to one building here in Greensboro. We used to be in 3 because there were so many people. Yeah.
No, that's fair.
That's about it for new developments over here.
All right, then. I guess I will tell everyone about patreon.com/themanapool. Yeah, that's all really. You know the deal by now. So let me thank our mythic lifeguards. Let's read it in this order. Nothing changed. This order? There we go. Timu Hellasharyu, Scuzzo, Michael, Kim Ho, Casey, Jason Kaus, Jason Doan, Jacob Jansens, Andrew Odie, ALK Alters, and Al. Casey was in Disney World when Milton hit. So that is awful. But she said that it wasn't all that bad there. It was just windy. I was like, okay. Turns out Prilliman survived too. But since he survived all of my efforts to end him, I didn't figure that a hurricane would cause him any problems.
Yeah, he's got it in the bag.
Yeah. He's wily. Wily, I say. But yeah, her biggest problem, Casey's biggest problem today was she didn't bring her Switch, so she's bored because park's closed. But yeah, I've heard back from everybody that I personally know who is in the path, and everybody is fine. Thank goodness. So that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I saw Prilliman posted something, last night, and that was it. And I'm like, hey, man, I need you to post an update. Are you alive? And Charles, his JudgeCast co-host, messaged me. He's like, Prilliman's fine. I talked to him a little while ago. I was like, oh, good. All right. And not long after that, Prilliman actually posted again on Facebook. I'm alive. I was like, all right. Thanks, man.
Great.
My mom was getting worried because one of my cousins who lives down there hadn't said anything in a while, and she's like, could you look her up on Facebook? Yeah, she posted something 22 hours ago, so not since yesterday. Mom was like, turns out she was at work. She just went to work like everything was normal, and they didn't just get hit with a giant hurricane. I don't know what she does for work, so don't ask, but she messaged me back when she got off and was like, yeah, I already talked to your mom. I'm good. I was like, thank you. So, yeah. Hurricanes really need to, calm down a little bit, which I know they won't do because climate change, but it would be nice if they would ease up for a few minutes. Like, the wrong third of my state got freaking wiped off the map almost. And then they threw another horrible one at Florida just a short while later. I'm like, all right, we get it. Mike, how did the wrong third of our state get... Dude.
I I really don't know.
Like, for those of you that haven't been paying attention, Hurricane Helene hit the western part of North Carolina. Like, that's the mountains, and just decimated it. Like, it is awful and will be for a very long time. And that's the mountains. You would expect the hurricanes to mess up the coast, but it didn't come from that coast. It came from down there and just came up and then sat on North Carolina and Tennessee and the other assorted areas around there. Just completely ridiculous. But climate change is a hoax, right, Mike?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. In fact, apparently, it's the Democrats that are controlling the weather.
But humans can't impact climate, so
Yeah, but we don't affect climate, but the government is controlling the weather. I hate people, is what I'm saying. A hurricane button. Yeah, exactly. So, hey, by the way, it's the middle of October. If you're in the United States, please go vote in November. Because, I don't know if you know, big election coming up, you know. Maybe vote and try to vote with the future in mind, you know, so that we'll have one. Because, damn. That is all. But anyway, and be sure to study your ballot ahead of time. Like, I know here in North Carolina we have, for example, we have a constitutional amendment on the ballot that if you just read it, sounds perfectly reasonable, but it turns out it's actually a plot to cause future voter or put future blocks on who is allowed to vote.
yeah, it's just a bunch of idiot posturing that has a bunch of possibly unintentional, but possibly intentional.
I mean, it's
Collateral
Republicans in
damage.
North Carolina. It's intentional.
Mm-hmm. The cruelty is the point.
Yep. But it's worded in such a way, if you read it, you're like, oh yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, why wouldn't I vote for that? And it's because they word it that way so that you'll think that, and so it'll pass. So just do your research for whatever state you're in, if you're in the States, for the love of God, because it's important. And yes, we're going to say that every election until things stop being so stupid. You remember when we used to have one party that thought things should go this way and one party that thought things should go that way, but basically they were all, you know, interested in doing the whole governing thing? Yeah, we don't have that in this country anymore.
No.
I've seen videos recently of, like, when John McCain was like, what? No, my opponent, who was Barack Obama, is a good man, and people booed him. I'm like, that should have been a sign that things were about to get worse. And then they did. Hey.
Yeah.
But anyway, enough politics at the end of the Manapool. So, like I said, I've been watching horror movies. I've been streaming Kingdom Hearts. I'm almost done with Kingdom Hearts. And I don't know what I'm going to do for spooky season this year. This is a problem I have every year. Like, I know that I should stream something spooky, and every year it, like, sneaks up on me. I might actually just bite the bullet and finally play Alien Isolation. Like, last year I did Alan Wake, which is creepy but not really scary. Creepy and mind-bending. But Alan Wake 2, to my knowledge, is not on Steam. So I think it's still just on the consoles. And I can't afford it anyway, so... yeah, it's not. Okay. But if you have any ideas for scary games for me to play, let me know, because Like, the problem with Alien Isolation is it's only scary for, like, the middle bit. Like, the beginning is all whatever, and by the end you're used to the alien and it's not scary anymore. So there's a sweet spot there that I want to happen around, you know, actual Halloween. Doki Doki Literature Club? Yeah, but I'd want to play the whatever deluxe version on Steam, and I don't have it yet. Is that scary? That doesn't seem scary. That seems creepy. Anyway, this is a decision for later. So this has been episode 708. If we missed any of the horror trope cards that you really wanted us to talk about, be sure to let us know somewhere. And yeah, I don't know why. I severely doubt we're going to come back to this topic, but yeah, join the Discord and complain at me directly. That's how you do it. That lets you complain at me and gets more butts in the Discord, which is always good. You should join our Discord. We have fun there. The link's down in everything. Or just go to themanapool.com and you can find the link there. You can find all the links there, in fact. Yeah. But okay then, so we're gonna go. So this has been, again, episode 708 of The Manapool. Thank you all so very much for joining us, and don't look under the bed. That's a thing, right? Looking under the bed? Yeah, don't look under the bed.
Yeah.
Or do look under the bed. No, don't look under the bed. No, what are you doing? What are you thinking? Ah!